Alright, boys, we're a couple days in. A whole bunch of games have been played. I have done my best to have something to talk about for each of these games. Also, real quick on the last video, I should have mentioned that Mikhail's jumper looked better in the second half. Okay, let's dive into some games. And we go to last night's game, the Nuggets versus the Thunder. Was that the best game of Chet's career? Technically year 3 Chet, but year 2 Chet is terrifying, man. With him blocking Jokic in the post and holding up physically on that one play when Jokic tried to hit him with a little elbow, being probably the lasting impression of it. That, and I remember just a myriad of times where OKC would try 2 to the ball on Jokic, and you're getting the ball out of Jokic's hands, but the Nuggets didn't shoot well from 3. I remember one turnover late that they forced out of a SGA, Chet double team on Jokic in the post. I mean, he still had a triple-double. We're talking about the best player in the world here, but it felt like the Nuggets as a whole were slowed down. And then offensively, OKC, they scored 102 points. They shot 22% from 3, so it wasn't like they scored a million points in this one, but specifically SGA and Chet were doing their thing, and I thought SGA was ready for those times when Jokic is going to be at the level of the screen on screen actions with Chet, so it's a very quick pocket pass to where Chet can just have it in the middle, then whether it's a roll, whether it's a free throw line jumper, and then after that it's just natural progression stuff with Chet, getting a little better on the handle, getting stronger to where catch and drive past Aaron Gordon or Jokic for pull-up twos, or take an MPJ on basically a one-on-one on a pretty physical drive where you hit him with a crossover beforehand. MPJ as well as Murray were not good. Jamal Murray in this game, man, sometimes it's Lou Dort on him, sometimes it's Caruso, sometimes it's J-Dub, sometimes it's Case and Wallace. You just got nowhere to go as a guard versus OKC. And that includes even if you get by your guy, because now Chet's waiting for you. Jamal Murray skeptics are eating. Also, Westbrook was a minus 24. Didn't get to see the Chet and Ihart frontcourt versus the Nuggets, but even so, it's cool stuff. Now we go to the Spurs-Mavs game from last night. Dallas had Wemby in hell, man. First thing to notice was PJ Washington starting the game on him, with Gafford playing off of Sohan. Very similar to what they would try to do in the playoffs to keep their bigs in the paint as much as possible. And then from there, it just felt like every single time Wemby had the ball, whether it was in the post, whether it was a face-up, he's getting bumped, he's got more than one guy reaching for the ball on him, he's got a wing who's getting up under him, or sometimes they would do some off-ball switching to where, Gafford would pick him up right before, he would get it in the post, or similar thing with Lively, or I remember a play where it was Lively and Maxey in the game at the same time, and they're collapsing on Wemby on a drive. I think he only got Lively once in the post, and then not long after that, Lively just kind of stonewalled him in the post. Wemby did miss some threes, but it just felt like the rim protection and the help defense that Dallas was so good at in the playoffs was still there. Yes, Derrick Jones is not here anymore, and given that Devin Vassell is hurt and Chris Paul's 39 years old, it wasn't like you needed an elite perimeter defender out there in this game, but still, I thought the energy and all that defensively that got them to the finals, along with Luka and Kyrie being Luka and Kyrie, it felt like it was all still there. Also, are we still doing this Derek Lively off the bench thing? At least for one game, the answer was yes. And then as far as Clay, the things that I notice are the plays where he's a second screener for Luka, with Lively being the other screener, so then he flashes out from there, and it just puts defenders in a tough spot. Hell, they ran a very similar action where it looked like he was going to be the second screener for Luka again, but then this time he just kept on running to the three-point line. He got open off of that. There was a play where he, Kyrie, and Gafford were involved, where I think Clay was kind of curling, and there was a DHO, fake DHO action, whatever. He got open off of that too. And that's what you hope for with that pickup for Dallas, is Clay, besides just the obvious of giving them the shooting, he just adds another dynamic to their offense. But really, I just want to say again, Derek Lively is so damn good. The dude had 15, 11, and 6 in 28 minutes, and I'm raving about his post defense on Wemby and his rim protection with him and Kleba in the game especially. He does so much. Now for Hornets-Rockets, where it looked like the Rockets were potentially going to run away with this at one point in the game, especially when Brandon Miller was out after the first half. Trey Mann cooking definitely helped with that one, but man, this is just a reminder of how good LaMelo can be. And not just that, the drives from LaMelo were so huge in this game. Because early on in the game, when he was kind of floating around the three-point line, still making good passes, taking all his normal LaMelo threes, I was just saying to myself, I need some drives, LaMelo, please. Take my word for it, I was saying this to myself. And then he proceeded to attack Şengün on a switch. He drew a foul on Reed Shepherd just from going in a straight line. He went coast to coast and drew a foul on Amen, just a crowd of Rockets in the paint, and he wasn't shooting a super deep floater. He went at Jabari in a straight line with Grant Williams screening for him. Also got to see some Grant Williams at center guarding Şengün in the post late. Little nostalgia trip for me as a Celtics fan. I did also think defensively, the Charles Lee effect was real in this first one. Whenever Şengün was in the paint, there were multiple bodies ready for him. But still, Şengün was cooking. The All-Star campaign through one game, I think, is right there. Busting out his dribble moves and up fakes and everything against Nick Richards. Also did make a couple of threes. We love that. As far as the rest of the Rockets, Jalen Green and Fred VanVleet took a whole bunch of jump shots. Fred was 4 for 18 and Jalen Green was 9 for 23. Yes, Jalen Green had 28 points, but It wasn't the prettiest 28 points. A lot of pull-ups. Ahmed made some crazy athletic plays as he always does. Also like when he's screening on the ball for somebody. Also, where is Steven Adams? Now we go to the Magic and the Heat. And man, what the Magic did to the Heat in the third quarter of that game, between Suggs' ball pressure on Rozier, or one possession Wendell switches onto Jimmy and closes off the drive, and then KCP has a great closeout on Hero, and then the next possession it's like Wendell, he hedges on a Rozier screen with Suggs, and they're all over Rozier, so he's got to make like a desperate pass to Jimmy, and then Franz is pressuring him nearly to half court, and then he's got to throw a tough pass to Hero, and then KCP steals that pass. Solid possessions of like Paolo just guarding Jovic or whatever, Franz just being on Jimmy this whole time. Like, the Magic just kicked Miami's ass in that third quarter. I mean, it was intense. It was honestly an energy of like, we have arrived and you all are not ready for us. And as far as the other end, Paolo and Franz made their threes, which is massive. They got their bully ball stuff on as well, don't get me wrong. And in typical me fashion, I just love whenever Paolo sets a screen for somebody. I mean, he got a 3 off of screening for Cole Anthony, and then he got a dunk off of screening for Anthony Black. Also, shout out Gary Harris. I'll give you at least a few seconds on Bucks Sixers. The Bucks won the game they were supposed to win. At some point, we'll see PG and Embiid. I thought the Dame Brook screen actions looked good. Now let's go to Suns Clippers. So the Suns were down 9 with a little less than 4 minutes to go in this game, and I was very excited because I wanted to see how they dealt with that. And Budenholzer pulled Nurkic, and he went small. So it was KD, Book, Beal, Royce, O'Neal, and then Tyus. This is before Book ends up fouling out. And then Ty Lue for like 30 seconds matched going small, and then he put Zoo back in the game. And then it was a bunch of Royce O'Neal just battling Zoo for position, to the point where Royce took a hell of a shot from Zoo and he drew a foul. But yeah, as far as the small lineup, where I was mostly locked in defensively, so Harden was able to get the Tyus switch multiple times, and then he drove at him, and one time the ball got tipped out, one time he just missed a layup that he should have made, another time he made a shot over Tyus from like 15 feet. The point is like, if the Suns are going to have going small be like really part of what they want to do, and teams are consistently able to get their best player going at Tyus in a one-on-one, I would just like to see if the Suns can deal with that. Like, I know what the plan is. It's collapse behind him and all this stuff. I get it. And then on the other end, it was just KD being KD. Like, yeah, they ran some screen actions with him being able to, like, operate at the free throw line with, like, just all the daylight in the world, which is, yeah, that's a product of the small lineup, just a lot of space. But it was just KD being KD. He made a tough jumper. He made a three-point play on a drive. It's Kevin Durant. They did put Nurkic back in the game in overtime. And then you had some plays where KD was pressuring the ball on Harden and doing a good job, might I add, while Nurkic was waiting on the back line. There's just more size there than him trying to go at Tyus. And so, okay, they win the game. Now, if Harden made one free throw, we could have been going to double overtime. The Clippers are very scrappy. They got the personnel to do it between Zoo, Derek Jones, T-Man. They just have to be that around Harden. As for the Suns and like some of the other stuff, look, they had a whole bunch of turnovers, although Tyus Jones and Monte Morris both had 0. You know what you're getting out of those two. The Clippers also had a bunch of offensive rebounds, another part of the scrappiness thing that they're just going to need. The Suns did get 38 threes up, and we all know they want to take more threes. I would like to see Beal get to at least like 7 threes a game this year. I don't think that's too much of an ask at all. And yeah, I don't know. It was a cool game. I don't even know if I have a major takeaway. Let's see. Pelicans, Bulls. Zach LaVine and Brandon Ingram are both good at basketball. What team are they both going to be on in a year and a half? I don't know. The Pelicans, as if they couldn't get any weirder. Now DeJounte is going to be out for an extended period of time with a fractured hand. Hopefully he'll be all right. But I mean, I was hoping to maybe get some sort of clarity on this Pelicans team. It's just never going to happen. The Wolves have played their second game, and Wolves fans are already on the Julius Randle roller coaster. Game 1 was Game 2, bully ball on DeMar or Keegan. Threes over Sabonis or Alex Len. Fadeaways, it all went in this game. And then also the Wolves just kind of got their spirit back. And then perhaps one of the craziest splits you'll see, the Wolves attempted 53s and the Kings attempted 29. I am planning on hopefully getting a overreacting to the Western Conference video out in 2 weeks. We need some more games to happen first, but then we'll talk a little more about the Kings. Now let's talk the Warriors who killed the Blazers. Well, remember me, right before the season began, I was like, yeah, they're going to have to be a really good defensive team, and offensively it's got to be Steph, do your thing, please. And then they go and shoot 41% on over 40 three-point attempts, with Wiggins, Buddy Hield, and Moody being the 3 big ones. I mean, Steph was still 3 for 7 from 3. I mean, you got Buddy Hield flowing from the baseline into a Looney handoff action right into a pull-up. Buddy Hield is one of the best improvisers in the league at just finding a way to get himself open for 3 if it's not even a specific set. And we know that fits well into this culture. We'll see just long-term how he fits in the rotation because there's just a lot of guys here. Besides that, the movement was just good, man. Wiggins being in the dunker spot, ready for a Steph drive after a little screen off the ball, 2 to the ball on Steph, Looney middle of the floor, GP2 cut out of the corner. Kuminga cut at the same time, Melton and Trace Jackson Davis running action on the opposite side of the floor. And then again, they went nuts from 3. You get it. They don't have the ideal number 2 guy next to Steph, but what they do have is a lot of smart players who can defend, who can pass, and Draymond is Draymond. Shout out to Scoot. They did also benefit from playing the Trailblazers. Let's see, do you want a quick reaction of Hawks Nets? I think Dyson Daniels is already one of the most beloved Atlanta Hawks on the team. We know what he is defensively, but he was actually putting pressure on the Nets he was 2 for 4 from 3. One of them was off the dribble. That's wild. He also had 2 drives for scores, one out of the corner, one from the top of the key, and both of them he had to get busy a little bit. Like, he had to beat Cam Johnson in a straight line. Another one he had to, bust out a move on Cam Thomas. It wasn't just I have all day to do something here. That's the biggest thing with him. 5 steals as well is huge. And then Cam Thomas, listen, somebody's going to take the shots on this Nets team, and we all know it's going to be him, so shout out to him. To defend Dyson Daniels a bit, because yes, Cam Thomas dropped 36 points in this game. A good amount of Cam Thomas's buckets were not on Dyson Daniels. Dyson was switched off of him, or whatever. He did get him on a couple, including the one very, very late, insane, just tough 3, but there were also a good amount of plays that won't show up in the stat sheet where Dyson Daniels just got Cam Thomas to pass out of a play where he was trying to score on him, but the opening wasn't there. Does that matter when he had 36? I don't know. Now on to Cavs Raptors. Scotty Barnes did not have a fun time dealing with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. This is the exact type of game where the 3-point shooting Scotty Barnes we saw at the beginning of last season is really where you want it, because just these drives with Mobley staying with him, that's just tough, man. And speaking of Mobley on the other end, he had a couple of bully ball moments on Scotty Barnes, backing him down, taking him baseline, spinning on him. Those are 2 different plays. He hit Bruno Fernando with a hezzy in the open floor. He had, I think it was a spin on Mobo. He had Grady Dick with a Euro step. He had a corner 3. This is the dream Evan Mobley game. Or pretty close to it, I guess. We had a good one with the Grizzlies and the Jazz. Great to see Ja back. Santi Aldama went nuts. Zach Edey fouled out in 4 minutes. It was 14, my bad. My biggest takeaway from the game is that Walker Kessler is here to ruin the Jazz's tank. With much better body language than last season. They're still going to have a top 10 pick. You know what I mean. And finally, we have Pistons-Pacers, which was a good time. I did feel a little bad for the Pistons. They were up 7 in the 4th, and then things just started going wrong. They had a potential 3-point play overturned where Nembhard took a charge on Tobias, but initially it was a blocking call. That was with Cade taking it coast to coast. Whole arena's going crazy. They had a bunch of open jumpers that didn't go in. They lost Mathurin on multiple pick-and-roll possessions, one of which led to a long 2, another one was a 3. Because they were putting 2 to the ball in Halliburton for some of these plays, so then it's just scrambling all over the place after that, right? Mathurin had one crazy step back long 2 on Ivy where he was risking a push off, and I kind of thought it was going to get called, and it didn't. Duran fouled Mathurin on a 3. Mathurin also had a tough rebound. He had one really good defensive possession on Cade. I do think it was interesting how many minutes Mathurin got in this game. We all know Mathurin is more talented than Nesmith, but it's about being good enough defensively and then also consistently making the right play on offense. Or I guess just making enough tough shots to where it doesn't matter. If Mathurin can close the gap there, that's interesting for Indiana. He also did have one wild one where he saved a bad pass that would have been a turnover, and then it ended up with Siaka making an ISO 2 over Tobias. That was a big play as well. Yeah, look, the Pistons, they're going to play hard. They're obviously more talented than last year, more defensive energy, all that stuff. Again, I felt a little bad for the Pistons. It would have been nice to see him win that one, but okay. Anyway, I think that's it. Also, the Celtics beat the Wizards. You don't care. That's fine. Pretty good times, man. The NBA is back. New Call of Duty just came out. Tyler's album's on Monday. New Lady Gaga song goes crazy. Anyway, that's it.